Hey, it's Lisa DeBoer from Pedi-Ed-Trics, and I'm here with the Gimme Five with Dan Batesy talking about human trafficking. This has come definitely more to light in recent years. It's been around forever, sadly. But Dan has graciously offered to help with one of the modules that we're working on that is ending abuse in seconds and is going to cover non-accidental trauma and human trafficking, in particular with children. So I asked Dan as we're recording these, and thank you again for doing that. So grateful to have your expertise. But can you just a little bit about your background and how it is that we ended up at this moment
Sure,
to say,
sure.
Please help.
So I'm the Deputy Commissioner of Public Safety for the state of Vermont. I've been an EMS educator for almost 30 years now. I got involved with human trafficking as we rolled out the Blue campaign, which is a campaign that was sponsored nationally, eventually ended up with the Department of Homeland Security. We rolled it out in the state of Maine as an informational program for our providers, for our EMS providers. So we created a program with Homeland Security, with Customs and Border Protection, with the state police, and a number of other intimate partner, domestic violence, and sexual violence support advocacy groups that contributed, and we launched this to providers across the state. I think you saw me when we were teaching that and working through this. Yeah. That was a while ago.
It was a while ago, and one of the stories that you had talked about that stayed with me to this point was the young woman who she had a boyfriend who you remember it was terrible.
Yeah.
Like the boyfriend tricked her to move to another state. She had a young child that she had been convinced that she was not appreciated at home, that he loved her so much. And so then they moved to another state, and then you want to finish the story?
Yeah, and then forced her into prostitution with the threat of violence against her children, who was in the care of theoretically the boyfriend's family and friends,
that was the story.
We met her in Las Vegas. We went out and did some training with the Las Vegas Police Department and interfaced with a number of victims who had all kinds of terrible, horrible stories of how they were treated and were put in these awful circumstances. Mm-hmm. But she was certainly one of them. Yeah.
But she was able to get out. How did she, how did you end up finding her?
Yeah, well, again, we didn't find her. It was the Las Vegas Police Department that identified her. She was one of the advocates that they were working with. She went on to found some of her own nonprofit things. Eventually what happened is she was subjected to this human trafficking for years. I mean, like 3 years of this terrible circumstance until finally she was rescued by law enforcement.
And she was able to get out with her child.
Yeah.
Did anything ever happen to her child, or they just kept using her in order to get?
I don't know the answer to that question. They certainly threatened violence against the child, and she was certainly subject to a whole lot of physical and sexual violence over that course. I can't say the same for the child. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I know often kids online think, oh, somebody loves me on the other line, and they're getting coerced to, or tricked to go with somebody who's going to change their whole life, and they're going to, live in a better place. But 3 things. What can we give 3 takeaways for whether you're working in the emergency department, whether you're working in EMS? We want to have something so that if you encounter something that's just all the hair is standing on the back of your neck, and what do we do in situations where we feel like we're
so 3 things. I mean, I think you set it up very, very correctly in that first, awareness is the really important piece, right? What we want to make sure we're aware of is this is happening everywhere. There have been human traffic prosecutions in every state across the country, certainly internationally as well, and there's no one that's immune. So these are circumstances that are occurring, and we need to be aware. We need to recognize the signs of human trafficking, which are varied, right? There's a lot of stuff that's happening out here, but usually we think about things like children involved in any kind of commercial sex act, children working in situations that are inappropriate for them to be working in, and then really any evidence of coercion in a circumstance where the person otherwise wouldn't be doing what they're doing. So, fraud and physical violence, things like that are all mechanisms. So I think that's the first thing I would say is be aware, right? Learn to recognize it. And by the way, if you want more information on this, this is not enough information for this broad topic.
Sure.
Go check out the Blue campaign through the Department of Homeland Security.
Security.
There's all kinds of information and the warning factors and all
Their
that kind of
website
stuff.
is the Blue campaign.
Yeah, if you Google search Blue campaign.
Blue campaign,
for
you're going to
sure.
be able to get directly to
Yeah,
that information.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So that would be the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is understand that these are sophisticated criminals in many cases, and not only are working in situations that bring them a lot of money, and in many cases they have been doing this for a long time, and they are prepared to lie to you. They are prepared to present circumstances where these victims are not going to disclose. And that makes these very complex situations, and situations that you're not always going to be able to say, absolutely 100% this is human trafficking. We don't want you to under those circumstances. We want you, when the hair sticks up on the back of your neck, to say, I'm just not sure.
Something.
Because what we have in the form of law enforcement, in the form of human trafficking advocacy groups, are people who have a much deeper and broader understanding of this, who have the power to investigate and have the power to do it properly with the safety of the victim in mind. Let's let them handle this, right? What our job as medical professionals is to see something and say something, right? I think this is concerning to us. And yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned earlier as we were talking that, people are concerned that they're going to get in trouble for reporting, or
right.
there's going to
What
be
if
some
I'm
kind of bad
wrong?
effect.
Yeah.
Remember that if this turns out to be nothing, then it's okay. That they're going to resolve it, and it's not going to be a big deal.
Right. And there'll be no repercussions on anyone
right.
who says who does.
But the
say
worst
something.
thing is to leave that victim in place. And
Yeah.
if you look at the stories of these victims, there have been any number of opportunities historically where they've encountered somebody that could have helped that didn't help. And that's what we want to avoid here. So that would be the second thing that I would say. I think the third thing that I would say is to make sure you know what those resources are that you have at your fingertips. Every state has programs now for human trafficking reporting and for networking. I can tell you that as an EMS provider or as a hospital, if you wanted to work with your local chapter of domestic violence or intimate partner violence support or any of those things, they can't wait to work with you and reach out and know who they are and develop those relationships.
Develop
before you had
that
to get there.
relationship before you ever need them. That's so important.
And the lowliest provider, the most inexperienced provider, should know how to utilize those resources and be able to report. And again, whatever your local numbers are, but also the national human trafficking hotline number, which by the way is 888-373-7888.
Okay.
If you're in doubt, call that number. They'll walk you through the process.
And help you through that. Dan, thank you so much for being on our Gimme 5. Hopefully this has been helpful, and if you see something, say something, just like at the airport. If something doesn't fit, it's okay to get involved. Sometimes it's scary, but you may be, like you said, that only lifeline. And so we're grateful for all of you in emergency medicine, our EMS providers, emergency department nurses, people that are on the front lines seeing some of these things. And we're just grateful that you're willing to do something, especially for these kids and people that could be in these situations that you might be their only way out. So thank you again for helping,
Welcome.
Dan. I appreciate it. And we'll see you on another episode of Gimme 5. Scenarios in Seconds was designed to be a simple and effective way to regularly train for pediatric emergencies. A Navy SEAL said it best: under pressure, we don't rise to the occasion, we sink to the level of our training. Ultimately, your next PEDS patient could be your worst PEDS patient, and we don't want you to just get ready, we want you to stay ready. And Scenarios in Seconds was designed to help you do just that.